Hi guys, welcome back to Finpact. Today we're going to be taking a look at the catastrophe that has happened in the crypto markets. But before I jump into this video, I want to say that some of these catastrophic events can be some of the biggest shakeouts before the next cycle starts. So before the next bull run starts, we need some of these huge shakeouts till we reach the lowest point in the bear market. And then fundamentals can improve, regulations can improve, and catastrophic events like the FTX scenario would not take place in the future. It is still a growing industry, but I think the crypto industry can only learn from it. We can learn from it and just go forward from here. Some of these dips that we are seeing are some of the biggest ones yet. So I do think it's an opportunity, especially if you missed out on such low prices during the peak of the bull run, where you were wishing Bitcoin and other altcoins were at prices so low. I know there's a lot of fear, but as famous billionaire investor Ray Dalio has said, that it's important to not emotionally invest and go against what the masses are doing. Which means if there's extreme fear, it means it's an opportunity to actually invest when people are selling because you get the lowest prices, especially if you're in crypto for the long run. And I've also said it's very important to not get greedy and take profits when you see bull runs take place, which is what I was saying earlier this year when we saw higher prices and earlier last year. But the point we're at now is actually a great time to accumulate, especially when you see catastrophic events like this take place. Now, before we jump into this video, I have some good news. The BitForex Scavenger Hunt is live, and it's a great way for you guys to win exclusive NFTs and a share of $30,000 worth of rewards. So basically, it's a crypto treasure hunt, and they have 4 events. Halloween has already taken place. Now we are currently in the Thanksgiving event, then we'll have Christmas and New Year's. And on each holiday, BitForex will distribute 200 themed NFTs in the 4 different events, so 50 per event. And these events are really fun. Right now we're in the Thanksgiving event, and as you can see, they have these really cool tailored NFTs. For example, they just had the quiz, and this is where users could win $200 plus 50 NFTs that are Thanksgiving specials in particular. For example, you can see some of the art and it's fantastic. So here's some of the Thanksgiving events that they have in the timeline. They had the Thanksgiving quiz, which has ended now. And the next one is the 2 truths, 1 lie period. And this is really cool because you get to show your crypto knowledge by answering which of the sentences is a lie. To stay tuned, follow the BitForex Twitter because all their events will go live on their official Twitter. And I've linked that down below in the description box. This is just a great way to earn rewards, especially given what's been happening in the markets. It's making crypto fun again. Anyway, all details of the Thanksgiving event of the BitForex Scavenger Hunt will be down below in the description box. Now, without further ado, let's talk about the shit show that just happened with FTX. Now, many of you guys may have already seen this tweet. It has gone viral and it really explains quite well what's been happening. Now, some people are very deep in the story and there's so many different takes on what's happened. There's a lot of inside work, I believe, that we don't know. And that's the problem with the whole FTX scenario that's happened. The fiasco has been pretty much like the 2008 financial crisis. It's literally caused a domino effect with all these firms like Alameda that were over leveraged and basically are now in the gutter. So let's take a look at this tweet and what exactly happened. So this guy has said, Isham-B22 has said, FTX is dead. The deal with Binance is dead. Billions of dollars dead. Here are some thoughts. So he started off by saying this, that he predicted the FTX collapse over a month ago. Now, let me just tell you what I knew. Now, I didn't predict it, but what I did hear around April, May, FTX was becoming one of the biggest talked about exchanges. Everyone in the YouTube industry, everyone was talking about it in the crypto industry, FTX and the FTT token. And it was like one of the newest upcoming exchanges and they were rivaling Binance. So everyone was talking about how massive their marketing budgets were as well. And I knew a lot of influencers that had partnerships with FTX. I personally did not, but I did know some that did. Now, when this fiasco happened a few days ago and it was all over the news, I contacted some of my friends and I found out that some of them had their marketing contracts stopped a while ago, almost like 3 months ago. And apparently FTX had fired their head of marketing or something. That's what I heard. I don't know. Again, this is from what they've told me. And that's not a good sign. That's not a good sign that an exchange is doing well if they are not marketing. If they are not ramping up their efforts to market, then it means that they are struggling perhaps, because marketing for crypto exchanges is incredibly important. So that is one little telltale sign that I got. But again, I did not find this out until the whole fiasco happened, because I went and inquired to see what happened with people who did have FTX partnerships in the influencer industry. Anyway, going back to the FTX, here's what happened. So he split it up into 3 sections. Number 1, the facts. Number 2, the rumor mill. And 3, contagion and the impacts from this shit show. Well said, it is a shit show. So number 1, the Binance deal is dead. This confirms that this hole in customer funds was so big that the Binance CEO could not justify it. Because at the end of the day, if Binance wants to acquire FTX, they've got to gain something from it. And it sounds like it was probably a loss-making acquisition. So as this guy said, value of customer acquisition, so that ginormous hole, what was it, around 5 billion, plus the goodwill gained versus the cost of filling the hole, negative enterprise value. So that isn't great. Now let's go into B, Alameda, FTX Ventures, and the FTX website, which are down. And this is kind of starting off to explain why this has become like the crypto version of the 2008 housing market crisis, where we had so many people and so many different organizations that were over leveraged in mortgage-backed securities during that crisis. But in this case, lots of people were over leveraged with the FTT token, making up a large part of their balance sheet. And that meant that when FTT token tanked and this whole fiasco happened, it just meant loads went bust. It's probably as bad as the 3 Arrows Capital fiasco with Terra Luna. So anyway, they've said that the websites, as you can see, websites are down. Obviously, that's not a good sign. Clearly, no solvent organization would have that. And it's really sad for the users and customers that have deposited with FTX. And I hope something happens and people get their funds back. That is just awful. C, he said FTX's legal and compliance team have quit. So this is another sign that things are probably worse than we think. And then I also mentioned the marketing team, because I only heard from some influencers that their contracts were cancelled. So that's another thing. And D, they've said withdrawals are locked and users are selling their account balances for pennies on the dollar. So that is really sad. And the thing is, this is pretty much like a bank run. If you remember in the 2008 crisis, banks, well, they defaulted and they could not pay their customers back. So people started like queuing up at banks, and then governments came in to bail them out. Now that is in a centralized industry. How can we have the government bail out a decentralized industry? You get the worries here. This is why people are afraid of leaving their money in crypto exchanges. And this is why I do think we need better regulations. So things like not being over leveraged in another exchange's token. So what actually happened is that Alameda's balance sheet was largely consistent of FTT token. But then when FTT token turned to shit, they didn't have the funds. So it's very similar, where a lot of these institutions or a lot of these crypto funds and lots of these crypto exchanges have been over leveraged in the FTT token. It's very similar to the financial crisis, where they were over leveraged in these mortgage-backed securities that also turned to crap. So yeah, anyway, moving on from that. Here, the SEC is now investigating FTX and FTX US for use of customer funds. So I saw an article on Bloomberg as well, and Decrypt, and there's a few articles on it. If you guys want to go into it in depth, I can link this down below in the description box. But there is a lot of regulatory scrutiny in the US, which is highly needed. To be honest, I feel bad for everyone. This has just been horrible. And then we have the rumor mill, and this is what has made it a domino effect. So what they've said in this article is that the original hole in the Alameda balance sheet was caused by Q2 losses. So this was the whole contagion thing we saw with Luna and 3AC. Adding to that, they must have begun heavily collateralizing, according to this guy, Lucas Nezzi, collateralizing FTT and borrowing against it to help fill this void. This is exactly what happened in the 2008 financial crisis. Anyway, I just want to mention one point actually. During the 2008 financial crisis, this happened, but banks and institutions reshuffled their capital adequacy requirements. They changed, there was a lot of regulatory changes. So a lot of changes were made. And then we saw the institutions get stronger and the markets recover over time. So maybe this is exactly like that. And one of the worst shakedowns that can really see crypto regulations come into play, that can help protect crypto users and especially regulations for exchanges, because a lot of us have put our trust in these exchanges. So I do think that this is actually an opportunity for real change in the infrastructure and the landscape of the crypto industry, just like the way after the 2008 financial crisis, they had all these rules and regulations come into play so that a situation like that would never take place again. So perhaps they might have new reserve requirements for the exchanges. For example, Alameda was so over-leveraged with FTT. Maybe they'll have rules come into play. I do think we need regulations for the crypto industry. I understand that the decentralized ethos can benefit in many ways, lack of monetary policy and things like that. But I also think that now that crypto is getting mass adopted, we need regulations so that people are protected and so that we can avoid such horrible situations like this. This is just crap. Anyway, let's go on to the next part. So a lot of it now is just about the balance sheets and how they were leaked and how, I don't know how true all of this is. This is on Twitter, but yeah, remember guys, this is just on Twitter. I don't have any reliable government sources proving this, and that's why it's good to see what happens with the SEC scrutiny. I'm just going through this tweet and what all the talk has been about. And then, so like I said, we're on this rumors and speculative part, so that explains that it's a rumor. We don't know for sure. Anyway, guys, I think my camera just cut out. I've realized this tweet is incredibly long, so I might make a part 2. There's a lot of controversy with Binance, and then the CEO said this, and that Sam went to the press and all that. That drama, if you want me to cover, I will in a separate video. This video is going to be way too long, but let's just round it off. So in short, there have been allegations that FTX have mishandled customer deposits. And so they've got this massive hole. I think some are saying it's 8 billion. Guys, correct me if I'm wrong. It was either 5 or 8 billion. It's been horrendous. And now FTX have, of course, filed for bankruptcy. The SEC are going to probe to see what's going to happen going forward. But it will be a time lag at this point till we see the next market uptick. But I think this is a good scenario because we needed the crypto industry to have adequate regulations. We cannot keep having Do Kwon, Terra Luna fiascos, FTX type fiascos over and over again. So that is my 2 cents on it. I personally think that this might just build the right atmosphere for a better crypto landscape, better regulations, better policies and governance, and better practices by crypto exchanges and funds so that things like this contagion does not happen again, because there were so many different firms that were exposed. Like, take a look at this, FTX investors, BlackRock, Paradigm. So, I mean, there's so many, I can't even go through all of them. And these are huge, huge giants here. So anyway, I know a lot of you guys will have comments down below saying you got this wrong, you got that wrong. Look, there are so many sources online. So many people are saying different things behind the scenes. No one knows. Let's wait to see what the SEC comes out with and what they find out. And all I can say is that my heart goes out to people who have lost their funds. So I'm really sorry if that happened to you guys. And hopefully the crypto industry can do better. I strongly believe that it can. I think there are so many fundamentally good things happening. I think there are progresses in blockchain technology, in Web3. A lot of great exchanges are out there that have great practices that do not operate like this whole fiasco that's taken place. So I also think there is a lot of good in the industry, and hopefully this BitForex Scavenger Hunt can keep you slightly on the positive note. But yeah, I do think there's a lot of good. And I think that this shakeout was sort of what we may have needed. Maybe we need one last final one. Perhaps Bitcoin might reach to lower levels, maybe 10 to 15K, before we stagnate for a bit for many months and restart a bull run when these regulations kick in, when inflation gets better, when the US economy and the global economy starts looking better, then I think it's the right breeding ground for a new bull run. But remember, when a bull run happens, the prices skyrocket, and that's when you get the most expensive prices. So you're probably making less profits then. So I personally believe in the ethos of the crypto industry. So I'm going to be buying my favorite altcoins and holding until the next bull run, because these prices are very, very cheap right now. I do think some of them will dip further. So I'm waiting to buy the dip even more, but I like to dollar cost average in. If you've stayed on my channel, you know I like to do that. But also remember, none of this is financial advice, and this is by no means the be-all end-all truth. No one really knows. Do your own research, find out what's happening, and if you have any ideas, leave them in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button and that subscribe button and that bell notification so that you get informed on when I release a video, as a lot of the information is time sensitive. Thank you guys for watching. Bye.